Hello there and thank you for joining me. In this video we are in the world of algebra and we're going to take a look at inequalities. So the bad news is we've 4 new signs that we need to get used to using, but on the positive side, if you are used to working at solving equations, you're going to find a lot of this very familiar to you. So let's take a look. So let's start by having a look at exactly what we mean by inequality. Well, it's just the opposite of equality. So, for instance, if we see something like x equals 3, then we know that is the value of x. It is exactly equal to 3. However, there are other symbols that we can use to describe things that are not equal. And the first of those would be a symbol like this, and we would write it in exactly the same way. It replaces the equal sign. Now this symbol, which has the smaller side, if you like, the pointed side pointing at the x and the wider side pointing at the 3, means less than. So in this situation, x is less than 3. Now we are talking about integers, whole numbers here, not decimals. So when we look at the possible values of x, well, x could be equal to 2, or 1, or 0, or -1, or in fact any number that is less than 3. We also have just the reverse. So this would be drawn like this, and that one is x is greater than 3. So again, the possible values of x could be 4, or 5, or 6, or 7, or any number that is greater than 3. Then there are 2 more. The first of those looks very much like the one above. X is smaller than 3, but we also have another line underneath. What this one means is that x is smaller than 3, just the same as the one up here, but it's also equal to. Now when we were looking at the values of x here, we were looking at all the values less than x, and the same is true. It is still worth less than 3, but because the little equal sign is on the bottom, it is also equal to 3. So this one here is below 3, this one is 3 and below. So of course the fourth symbol that we need to look at is the one that is similar than greater than. It also has the equal sign on the bottom, so again it is equal to 3 but also greater than. Another situation that can arrive is that x can have a limit to its values in 2 different directions. So you may see something like this. It has a symbol on both sides. Now let's analyze how this works. On the left hand side we have 3 is smaller than x. Obviously the opposite is then true. X is larger than 3. So the value of x starts at 4. That is the first possible value. It has to be larger than 3. It could also be 5. It could also be 6. Now when we are looking at this symbol, it says that x is smaller than 7. We've already satisfied that, but it's also equal to 7, therefore it can be 7. So in a situation like this, if you are asked for all the possible values of x, they have to be larger than 3, smaller and equal to 7. So the answer 4, 5, 6 and 7. Now the subject of inequalities can give rise to 2 different types of question in an exam, and the first of those is the ability to illustrate an inequality on a number line. So we have a usual number line, 0 in the middle, positive numbers going to the right and negative numbers going to the left. You are then given an inequality. So let's use this one. -4 is smaller or equal to x, which is smaller than 5. Now, we could, as we did on the previous page, work out all the values for x, because they start at -4, it's equal to -4, it's also greater than -4, so you would have all the numbers -3, -2, -1, all the way up to +4, and there they would stop, because x is smaller than 5, it's not equal. Now on a number line, this is how we demonstrate this. We put, first of all, a circle above the two numbers on either end of the inequality. In other words, in this case, the -4 and the 5. We then draw a line in between the two end numbers. Once we've done that, we take another look. Now, at this end of the inequality, we have an equal sign. X is larger or equal to -4. Now, because we have an equal, to symbolize that, we actually fill in the circle so that it becomes solid. On the other end, however, x is smaller than 5. It is not equal to 5. To show that it is not equal, we leave that circle empty. Therefore, an empty circle shows that it is unequal. A closed circle shows that there is an equality there. So looking at this line here, the values of x, -4, -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4, but not 5. Let's quickly have another example of one of those. This time we have -1 is smaller than x is smaller than or equal to 6. So exactly the same. We put a circle over the -1 and a circle over the 6. We use a straight line to join them. Then we look for any equalities. Is x equal to -1? No, it isn't. There is no equal sign on the left hand side here, therefore the circle remains unfilled. On the other side we do have an equals. X is smaller than or equal to 6, so in this example this circle is the one that gets filled in. Now the second type of question you might come across in this topic is being asked to solve an equality. Let's take a look at this, because the good news here is that if you are already able to solve an equation, then an equality uses exactly the same method. Let's take an example. Let's say 2x minus 3 is greater than 5. Now before we do that, let's rewrite this as 2x minus 3 equals 5. Now I'm going to use the method of transferring things from one side of an equation to the other. I'm going to solve this equation first. The -3 would move to the other side and become a +3. So we would have 2x equals 8. Therefore x equals 8 divided by 2. X equals 4. Now let's solve the inequality. And what we are going to find is that in fact the method is identical. Therefore the 5 and the 3 are on this side exactly the same as they are in the equality. The only difference is that I continue to use the smaller than sign. 2x is therefore smaller than 8. See the similarity again across the other side. X is therefore smaller than 8 divided by 2. X is therefore smaller than 4. In each step, the lines are identical to each other, except that rather than having an equal sign, we have a smaller than sign. And the same is true for any of the 4 signs. We treat it in exactly the same way as we do an equation. The biggest danger is that simply from habit you start using the equal sign halfway down the page. You simply have to remember that whatever symbol you are starting with, you continue to use all the way down. Again, we'll use another example. 6x plus 10 is larger or equal to 1. So 6x, put in the symbol and remember which one you are using, and I'm going to move the 10 to the other side so it becomes a -10. So I now have 6x, again larger or equal to minus 9. Therefore x is larger or equal to minus 9 over 6. And minus 9 over 6 is a perfectly good answer. If you wish to change it, you could use it to minus 1.5. The important thing is that the greater or equal sign stays the same all the way down the page. And finally, let's have a look at the situation that we talked about earlier, where we have 3 parts to an inequality, so that x is being limited on both sides. We know it's lower bounds and we know it's higher bounds. In this case, we have 3x minus 1. It is greater than 2 but smaller than 11, and we need to figure out the possible values of x. Again, we do it in the same way that we would treat an equation, but we have to bear in mind that we have all 3 parts. So the first thing you would do with an equation is you would get rid of the minus 1. Now, if you were dealing with the left-hand part, the minus 1 would move to the other side and become a plus 1. If you were dealing with the right-hand equality, the minus 1 would also go to the other side and become a plus 1. And in fact, that is what you do, both at the same time. So we end up with 3x in the middle, the minus 1 disappears, and we get a plus 1 on this end and a plus 1 on the other end. So we have now got 3 is smaller than 3x is smaller than 12. We now need to move the 3, which is a multiply, and again it goes in both directions, so we end up with x in the middle. The 12 becomes a divide on this side and also a divide on the other side. So we now have 3 over 3, 1 is smaller than x, is smaller than 12 over 3, which is 4. So we now have our final inequality. X is greater than 1 and smaller than 4. In other words, x is 2 or 3. And that's it for now. As I mentioned in the video, it really is easy to make the mistake of getting halfway down an inequality and accidentally changing to the equal sign. So try to stop yourself from doing that. I hope that's been of use to you. The subscription button is just at the bottom here, and I have a link at my side to one of my other videos. Please do come and join me again. Thank you.